Hello, friend! It's been another few weeks, and so I figured I would take a minute and film this update video of our homeschool life. I believe this is episode number 6, so if you are new here and you are just tuning in, this is a series that I do. It's several videos that I kind of share our homeschool update and what it is that we've been doing in our classroom and that sort of thing. So I'll be kind of brief this week. I don't feel like I have a lot to share, which is why I did not post an update last week. But I do have a few fun things that we've been doing, so I thought I'd let you guys know. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let's just start off with our menus. I shared this last time. We are using these menus now, and it's been awesome. But I added the Fruit of the Spirit page. So we've been doing meekness still as a part of our character study, and we're still kind of doing that, and I love it. We've been moving a lot slower than I thought that I would, probably because we don't do it every single day. But anyway, so I added these in. There's a glare on that. I'm sorry about it, but I just kind of took some inspiration that I found on Etsy shops, and then I kind of made my own. And then, so this is the Fruits of the Spirit, and I liked that one of the shops that I had found had put kind of like a definition or an example of each of the fruits. So like, for example, love seeks the highest good of others. Peace, contentment, unity between people. So it wasn't just the word. So anyway, I did that. So we read those every day now, in addition to our affirmations and our goals, which, by the way, we did fill out our goal sheet, so that was good. But then in conjunction with that, I made these little, what would you call these? Flashcards, maybe, of each of them. So I have the character on the front, and then on the back, I have that little, like, whatever definition, and then I put a scripture with it. So we just kind of go through these, and then I don't really know for sure what I have planned. I might post these up somewhere. I might, we might play games with them. I don't know. I was just in a creation type mood, so my computer is my canvas, I guess. But so now we have these, and we're just kind of going through them. So this was the first week that we did that. We did love and peace, and or love and joy, I guess. So anyway, that was kind of fun. That's an addition. So that is that. And if you want something similar to that, again, I gained a lot of inspiration from Etsy, and then I kind of, as usual, put my own like spin or twist on it. But there's that Fruit of the Spirit. You can find good stuff. Okay, another part of our family school is our state study. We are still doing just kind of the Western states, and then we started adding a little bit of these Midwestern states and the Southern states with Texas. And I took the suggestion from one of my YouTube comments, which was Homeschool Pop, which is another YouTube channel, has little short videos of each of the states. And so I did exactly what she did. So thank you. I'm thinking it was Dana, but I'm not sure if it was you or not. But anyway, so I just have my kids grab one of like any color paper, and then we grab one of these magnets, and they're really a good size for tracing. And so I have my kids trace the state, and then we find the capital, and then we go watch Homeschool Pop, and I give them a clipboard, and then they have to write down 3 things that they notice. So my oldest, I have more expectations. My middle child just kind of tries, and then my youngest mostly just draws on his paper. But everybody does it, and then we have like a little show and tell at the end of that, and they just share what it is that they learned. It's really quick, and I'm not sure like a whole lot of it is sticking, but my whole point of all of this, first of all, of course, is geography. But on top of that is part of my 4th graders' curriculum is towards the end of the school year, like closer to the spring, he is going to plan a road trip and decide something that he wants to see in the States, kind of in the Western states, probably. And then we're going to plan this road trip, and he'll get all of the stops. And of course I will help him, but I want him to have an idea of something that we can go to and then travel back from. So this study, and especially since this map, which I've showed before, kind of has little pictures on a lot of them, it gives him an idea of stuff that he may want to see. And it has to be something new, so we can't like go to Disneyland. But that's kind of what we're working toward, is getting this understanding of other things, like states have cool places and people and historical things that we can go and visit and see. And that's going to be kind of his 4th grade project. So that's what we are building up to in that. As far as Little House in the Big Woods, I was doing a lot of videos kind of updating you with that, but I haven't recently because I feel like we've been going really slow through the book. So this week we did read a chapter, and so we kind of wrapped up one of the seasons in the Big Woods. So we talked about seasons, and then we did this activity that you can see behind me. And it's 4 trees, and each tree, the leaves are what we see during that season. So we just talked about what summer is like, spring, winter, fall, blah, blah, blah. And then how it was for Laura and how their life was different based on the season. How is our life different based on the season? That kind of conversation. So that was really the only thing that I can mention about that. We did put the book aside for a bit, and we did a week of this, how to bake an apple pie and see the world. This is a 5 in a row unit. So we did a few of their suggested things, like look at the art and of course the geography of each of the countries. But something that we did that was really fun, and I alluded to this on Instagram, so you may recall, maybe that's why you're here, was I found this like lesson plan on the internet, and you almost would have been so proud of me because I almost just printed it and used it exactly as it was. But of course, like I didn't. I ended up like not using it, and I like edited it and changed it. So let me reach on the floor here really quick. But so I had my kids. Okay, what I did is we had each of the countries that you read about in the story, and essentially what I was teaching them was the difference between trade and oh, what's the word now? Natural resources, and having a middleman, and the benefit and blessing to having a middleman and not having to go out and collect all of these ingredients from each of these countries where they grow. And so we did this little scavenger hunt throughout the house, and I put each of the countries around, and I wish that I had saved something to show you guys, but I had printed off, I created these little like travel tickets. And so if they wanted to travel on the train or the bus or the boat or whatever, then they needed to have a ticket. And we all got on the like little pretend bus, and I would walk them around the house to the next destination. So we would go from like Britain to Sri Lanka to, Jamaica or wherever we were going. And then when we got there, then they had like a little hunt and find, and they had to find these little pieces of paper. This is what was on the floor, obviously. My son didn't put it away, but they had to find the ingredient that was in that location and collect it and put it in their basket. And they had money. So I have like the little morale money right here, that they had to purchase it. Or if they chose to pick it themselves. So for example, when we were getting wheat from Italy, then they had the choice. You can either go and pick it yourself, or you can ask somebody to pick it for you and pay them. Anyway, it was just a really fun activity. The kids loved it. They wanted to play it again. And then when we all got back, then we like looked at all of our ingredients and how we had to then, get the eggs from the chicken and then turn the milk into butter and that kind of conversation. So that was what we did one day. And then, after we did all of that, then we talked about like, okay, let's pretend that I own a grocery store, and you can just come to my market and pick up all of my things and use your money to buy these ingredients. And so then I like placed them in one room of my house, and they could just kind of go around and do shopping. And so we just talked about the blessing of a middleman. What was a middleman? And how does that affect the price? So this kind of activity was geared a little bit more towards my 4th grader, so then he could understand commerce and the economy and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I was really proud. It turned out to be super duper fun. So that was kind of the big change. Other things that we do, we of course just talked about the location of each of them. We talked about the art. We just used the suggestions that are in the 5 in a row manual. So that was that. Okay, let me just talk quickly about 1 or 2 things for each of my students instead of going through all of their curriculum. Everything is still going really good. I'm loving math. I love the language arts curriculum that I've picked. The spelling is going really well still, so high five to that. But I wanted to just add in, so we finished, my 4th grader finished his book. We were reading Magic Tree House, and he just was really interested in the volcano aspect of it all. So I grabbed this book, I Survived the Destruction of Pompeii, and thank you to whoever is out there that made Teachers Pay Teachers and our ability to just share with each other what we make. So this is his cover. But anyway, so there's somebody on Teachers Pay Teachers who just made like a literature unit for it. And essentially it's just reading comprehension questions, an author study, a character study, and then just a way to like summarize each of the chapters. So it's not really like super, I don't know, variety. There's not a lot of variety to it, but I don't have to do it. And it really was what I wanted to make sure that the comprehension was there, along with a little bit more of an extension with the author study and the unit study or the character study. And I am liking it because the reading comprehension questions aren't necessarily like read this text and answer the questions, but they are a little bit more of an extension. So for example, this one says, look up. So we went to the internet, look up what people wore during this time and draw a picture of some of the traditional garments. Draw a sketch of what you think the statue would look like below. And then we talked a little bit about Achilles and who that was and why they talked about it in the book and kind of that sort of thing. So it is a little bit more extension based than I probably would have done had I created it myself. So that's an addition for him. For my first grader, again, everything is pretty much the same. I really am enjoying everything. She actually asked me to bring back her spelling bee book, which is the BJU Press spelling book. So I did grab that, and we're going to integrate that into her work next week. She just really loved it. So we're going to be doing that, but everything is pretty much the same. I'll just kind of talk about her history. So this week in her chapter, we started talking about symbols of the United States. And this is a lap book that I had purchased from Teachers Pay Teachers quite a season ago. I don't even know for sure who sells it, but I will put it in the description box below if you're interested. But it's just got a lot of the U.S. symbols. We only have done 2. But she's got several. So like the Liberty Bell is one of them, and Mount Rushmore is one of them. And what else? They're all right here. Oh, the American flag. So anyway, I just printed these off. And what we're doing is I let her choose one of them or 2 of them, depending on how much energy I have. And then we are watching a video on YouTube about it. Homeschool Pop, again, has been a really great resource for me, which I'm sure I've seen their videos before, but now they're like in my brain. So we're doing them a lot and just watching a little bit of facts about that particular, what is it called? Symbol. Now, when I have done this with my son before, our library had a bunch of books, each book being one different symbol and the history of it and what it's for and all this like good stuff. But our current library, now that we've moved, does not have that. So just check your library. You may be able to find some good books about it as well if you're doing a unit like this. I have this book. I believe this is a Scholastic book probably. Anyway, it's called Monuments and Parks, and it just has some other fun things that we're just talking about as a part of symbols, because it does have the Statue of Liberty, the Washington Monument, and then it has, Mount Rushmore is in here. We just read about, the Lincoln Memorial, Washington, D.C. And then the other one, this is an Usborne book, Wonders of the United States. And I think that if we were to read it from beginning to end, it would be a little better than what I did this last week. But we just looked for whatever the symbol was that we were talking about, and I looked at that page. So we did the Statue of Liberty. We were looking up how many steps are it from the base to the head, what size is her shoe, how heavy does she weigh, why is she green, all those kinds of things. And then we just looked at this one little page in the book. These are these see-through books. I don't know if you've ever seen these Lita books where you just use a flashlight, which I don't have, but or something, and then you can kind of see to the back side of this by looking through the paper with the flashlight. So anyway, but this book has a lot of stuff, so I should just read it to her from beginning to end, because it really does have some fun kind of things for that. So that's an addition to first grader. And then my last one, let me reach over. Okay, and so for my last one, he just finished his light unit. We're doing Christian light education, and each of those books are called a light unit. So because he finished that light unit, that is 5 letters of the alphabet that he has finished. So I kind of rotated his pocket charts. So the letters that he's focusing on in the book he's in are going to be in those pocket charts. But I didn't want to remove all of the letters that he has done. So I made these little whatever you want to call these, like cards. And then I laminated them. So I just got a picture off of Google, stuck the letter on it. This is a frame that I got a bunch of frames back when I made a bunch of worksheets for different things in my former schooling life. Anyway, and so he has A, B. B is because it's the start of his name, not because it's in the curriculum. Anyway, M, F, and D. And I just put these underneath his pocket charts. So then he uses the pointer that I have. I think it's right here. So we use a little pointer and we play different games with that, or I'll use the puppet here and we'll play or talk to it or whatever. Anything just to kind of like mix it up. And so he has these as a part of his visual when we are doing that part of the chart. Now I used to be, you can kind of see behind me here, this is my full alphabet chart. And at the beginning of the year, I was having him come over here and just say all of the alphabet letters. He also has all of the letters in his daily learning notebook as well as his interactive notebook. But I've kind of pulled away from having him recite the entire alphabet. And now we are just saying the sounds of these letters as opposed to the name of the letter. So for example, when I point to this card, we don't say A. I don't say what letter is this. I say, what does this letter say? And he says, apple, right? Or what is this one? Bear. So instead of having him go A, B, C, D and knowing the names of the letters, I've switched my focus to knowing the sounds of the letters. And I've gotten that tip from a few of my Instagram account friends that I follow, specifically, what's her account name? It's called Simplified Homeschooling. Natalie, my friend, she does a lot of training with that, and she has a whole program built around teaching the letter sounds as opposed to the letter names. So I've just picked up that strategy and decided to do it, and it's been working great. So now we have these 5 letters plus the new letter for this last week, which was T. So now we'll have 6. Anyway, that's the newest update with him. Everything else has just been status quo. He loves his daily learning notebook, and I love that it's kind of independent work for him. I can just kind of like glance over and help him know which day of the week it is. But for the most part, he does it by himself, and he loves that, as I like am doing the history with my daughter. And then I will always sit next to him while he's doing his Christian Light workbook and activity book, just because I just feel like I can track his progress better, and I'm just with him while my 4th grader is still doing his independent work. And then as soon as that's finished, my youngest kind of goes out of the room, and I sit with my oldest and we do his language arts. So that's how our day's been going. Anyway, I thought that this was going to be a little bit of a shorter video. I think maybe it is because I didn't go over everything, but we're still doing great. We have a couple of more weeks now until fall break, and then we'll have to like reevaluate what we want to do. Hopefully we'll finish Little House in the Big Woods so we can move into our next unit, which I'm pretty sure is going to be an artist unit study. We're going to do a few of the famous artists. Again, my oldest is really into art and he loves art. And he's kind of in a phase of life right now. This is like a future conversation, but I'll just go into it. He's in a phase of life right now where he compares his artwork and what does his picture look like to those of his peers. We went to an activity, and the activity was an art-centered one. Anyway, by the time the thing was done, I noticed that my son was kind of like, well, his art is better and that kid's better than me. And he went from a place of being very confident in his art talent and really loving art to feeling like I'm not as good as everybody else. So I was like, oh, this is going to be perfect, because now we can go through all of these artists of the world, and my son will be able to notice, like, look, everybody paints differently or does art differently. Of course, the one that comes to mind is Picasso, and how different Picasso was to Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci and such. So I'm kind of building that. It's not taking a lot of work on my part because I've just purchased a unit study from Confessions of a Homeschooler, and she did a great job. So hopefully that'll be an open and go for me, but if you know me, usually I like get into it and I'm like, oh, this is what I can do to like make it mine or make it better or make it different or add different color or something like that. So anyway, thanks so much for tuning into this update video. Hopefully you found something encouraging or helpful, or you just had a good time hanging out with me. So we'll catch you in another one. Bye, friends.
Hi, Mom.
Hey, babe.